A pleasant good afternoon to each and every one of you, and well, good night to our friends who are in the UK, inclusive of Ireland. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us today for our AGM. We have, I think, quite an evening planned, but we will just start by the housekeeping announcements. You're asked to keep your mics muted. If your bandwidth is good, feel free to put on your cameras. Otherwise, you can keep them off. That's not an issue. And just a reminder that this evening's session is being recorded. So if you miss something, you can always review it at a later date. We want to start this evening's proceedings by introducing one of our vice presidents, Angela Abbs. So I hand over to Angela to introduce herself a bit and bring greetings from the presidential team. Over to you, Angela.
Thank you, Jason. That's lovely. So hello, Caribbean Branch, and thank you, Chair, for inviting me as a representative of the IOSH presidential team. It's a real privilege to be with you. I'm speaking to you from near a fishing town in Norfolk in England, if anybody wants to look it up, and it's called King's Lynn, and it's that bumpy bit on the east side of England that pokes out into the sea, and it's not as warm as your sea, I can guarantee you that. It would have been lovely to fly over to see you, but maybe next time, eh? So I'm Angela, one of the IOSH vice presidents, and I bring with me best wishes from Louise Hoskins, our president, and the rest of the presidential team. After the lifting of COVID restrictions, and now that we're allowed to meet in person in the UK, I managed to get lunch with Louise earlier this week, and she sends her good wishes to you all. And she and I both wish you a great meeting and a great AGM. You know, IOSH would not be the great institution that it is without its volunteers. So I would like to say a huge thank you to the chair and the outgoing committee for your commitment and all the volunteer hours that you've put in during the past year. I would also like to wish the chair and newly formed committee a successful year and to congratulate you on your elections. I'm not sure of your current local COVID restrictions, and you can perhaps update me on those, but whether you meet face-to-face or virtually online, and I understand you do a mix of that anyway, I'm sure that you'll soon be getting to know each other and soon be really working well as a team with your new team together, using your collective talents to put on some wonderful events for your members. I was branch secretary and then branch chair for the East Anglian branch in England, and so I know how hard work goes on in putting on those events, and the great deal of hard work put in by the committee members behind the scenes too, all for the benefit of IOSH, for the branch and for its members. So I really do appreciate your dedication. Speaking of volunteering, just now IOSH are looking for 2 vice presidents for next year to be in post from November. So if you're a chartered member, if you've held a branch office or have been volunteering for a while, why not have a go and join the presidential team? The last expressions of interest have to be in on Sunday, and I think some people who are eligible have probably had those emails, so give it a go. Only 2 days, but wouldn't it be great to have a vice president from the Caribbean? I'm just a normal health and safety consultant from a construction background. I'm a mentor and a construction group committee member, and I also sit on and chair some of the PRI panels for those who are being interviewed for their chartership. I was encouraged to apply to be a VP. I wasn't really sure that I'd make the grade, but I did apply, and here I am to tell the tale. And it's certainly an honour, although I still have to pinch myself sometimes. So why not give it a try? It's also really great fun, and I get to speak to lovely people like you guys. So again, thank you to last year's committee, and welcome and good wishes to the new committee. And if anybody wants to get in touch with me or with the presidential team, my email address is angela.abbs@iosh.com. So do just drop me a line or look for me on LinkedIn. So thank you for listening. Have a truly great meeting, and I'll stay on for a while if that's okay. It's now 10:30 or just gone 10:30 in the UK, so nearly my bedtime. So I'll do my best to stay awake. You know what these AGMs are like. but I'll try. So thank you, and Jason, back to you.
Thank you very much for that, Angela. And you are most welcome to stay on throughout the course of today's deliberations.
Thank you.
What we shall do right now is we will hand over to our branch secretary, who will take us through the apologies for absences, as well as the confirmation of minutes from last year's AGM. Janelle, I hand over to you.
Thank you, Jason. Just give me a second to share my screen. Okay, so first thing I would like to note that we have received no apologies for any absentees this afternoon. So I'll now go through the minutes of the 2021 AGM. This is the attendance of the executive committee members and the branch coordinator, Mrs. Emily Hilpies. The agenda. And now on to the meeting. The meeting was chaired by our Vice Chair, Mr. Shazam Idu, who called the meeting to order at 5:30 p.m. We had no apologies received last year, and the minutes were confirmed by Ms. Shazara Ali Bukas and seconded by Ms. Alina Dindwell. We had an address from a member of our presidential team, Mr. Delani, and greetings from the governance committee, who brought greetings as well as information on the benevolent fund, which was offered to IOSH members who experienced any sort of hardship as a result of, and not just as a result of the pandemic. Then on to the business of the AGM. The chair gave his report. Jason thanked the members of the outgoing committee and made special mention to outgoing members, Ria Suknarain and Lakeisha Jordan, who served as the country coordinator for Barbados. He also stated that some of the branch engagement, which started with the branch strategy meeting, and then he mentioned a couple of our branch engagements, such as COVID-19 and dealing with the pandemic, as well as renewable energy, which was one of our most subscribed branch events last year. We also then went into our collaborated event, which was hosted by our team in Barbados for World Safety Day. Mention was given to our members who were on special committees, such as Charlene Ford, who was a member of NACUSH in Barbados, as well as Shazam Idu, who is a member of the technical committee of the TTBS. Jason then went through the branch KPIs, and then thanked the committee who he was pleased with working for, even though it was a difficult year as a result of the pandemic. Special mention was made to our then branch coordinator, Ms. Emily Hilpy, and the IOSH staff and presidential team who supported us. At last year's AGM, we had a tribute to Mr. Anthony Rushford, who we lost and who departed this life on the 26th of February, 2022. We then went through the results of the elections. We had returning our chair, Jason Maitland, vice chair, Shazam Idu, secretary, Janelle Duff, treasurer, Shazara Ali Bukas Ramlugan, communications coordinator, Rishi Williams, Barbados coordinator and executive committee member, Charlene Ford, executive committee member, Sheena Briggs Edwards, executive committee member Navin Raghu, executive committee member Alina, and new members Dion Lawrence and Shari Bowens. Under any other business, we mentioned that one of our priorities for the new term was to have an engagement session with our colleagues in Guyana and Suriname, as well as aligning our strategies with the new strategies from IOSH Work 2022. Information on professional development and technical grading would be sent out via IOSH website, as well as information on mentoring and student membership. Jason then closed off the meeting by sending out his regards again to the members of the Caribbean branch who attended the AGM, as well as members of the executive of IOSH who attended the meeting. Meeting was adjourned at 6:45 p.m. So on that note, I would like to ask someone to please accept the minutes. Thank you, Sheena. Can I have someone second the minutes, please?
I'm seeing a couple of folks have moved to second, Janelle.
Okay, I can't see them. Can you tell me anyone?
Shazara would have moved first according to the chat.
Okay, so I have Shazara and Sheena. Thank you, everyone. I'll now hand you over to Jason.
Thank you for that, Janelle, and for everyone's participation. So in terms of the work of the committee, I think it is always a somber moment to reflect. And it's not only until we come at an AGM and we look through everything that we have done, while we keep track of our KPIs, it's only then that we recognize how much work the committee has put out. And whilst Janelle would have identified through the minutes of the meeting, the then incoming executive committee, I will take a moment to thank each and every one of them, most of whom I believe are still are present with us virtually today, and recognizing that we would have co-opted an additional member over the course of the last year to assist in the work of the committee. So I want to say a special thank you to Shazam, Janelle, Shazara, Rishi, Charlene, Sheena, Navin, Alina, Shari, Dion, and Tashana for the outstanding work that each of you have done and continue to do. And we know that even though one or two of you have moved on, we have one member who has relocated from the Caribbean branch, but still continues to play an active role in the work of the branch and the executive. So I want to thank everyone for their participation and their contribution, because it literally takes each and every one of the committee members to serve the members of the branch. And just a reminder for some of you who from time to time may not see our vision and mission. Every year we do a strategic session to ensure that we are still aligned with the strategy of IOSH and the particular needs of the Caribbean branch. And while we know that a new strategy is on the cusp of being announced, we will always review to ensure that our strategy remains current and, of course, meets the particular needs of the members throughout the Caribbean branch. Last year at this AGM, we would have signaled that our intention was to really have some more engagement sessions in Guyana and Suriname. We were optimistic at that time that COVID-19 would have, how can I say, be less of an issue, whereas it actually was quite a significant issue in Trinidad and along the other islands in the Caribbean, leading to, I would say, more stringent measures being implemented by governments, which negatively impacted on our outreach sessions in Guyana and Suriname. So much to say that really it has only been at the earlier portion of this year, 2022, where things have opened back in Trinidad, with some further restrictions taking place a bit prior in some of the other islands in the Caribbean. It has been a bumper year. And this slide really tries to show all of the activities that the executive has conducted, from branch meetings to executive committee meetings, and also special outreach events. What's not listed here is the work that we continue to do in Barbados, with Ms. Ford, Charlene Ford, leading the charge with IOSH and being a member of the Legal and Regulation Subcommittee. And it's a testament to the work that any member of IOSH can do by just putting your hand up and volunteering, and still having the support structures of all 40,000 plus IOSH members across the globe. What's also not represented here is the work that the branch executive also does through Shazam Idu with the Trinidad and Tobago Bureau of Standards, as well as the representation that we have on the Trinidad and Tobago Occupational Safety and Health Authority. All outstanding contributions, which not only contribute to standards and regulations today, but influence the practice of health and safety practitioners in years to come. So I want to assure each and every one of you that though you may not, and I've had one or two members that have come up to me and said, Jason, we want to see more. Being on the executive has been running very hard, as we say locally, but we will continue to redouble our efforts as things open up, as we go to a blended approach to ensure that we can have greater networking and fellowship with each and every one of our members wherever you exist. So putting things into perspective, 20 activities conducted over the last 12 months, 11 executive committee meetings, 7 branch member events, 2 special and outreach events. And as I mentioned, we have not counted in here the work that we've done with IOSH, TTBS, and OSHA. We have continued to have fairly good representation. As a matter of fact, we have set ourselves a minimum target for attendance at 75%. And we've met that for each and every one, at least that I should say, for every one of our executive committee meetings. We have represented and participated at the Networks Volunteer Conference. And of course, we had a collaboration with Cipriani College of Labor on a webinar on prevention and control of infectious diseases in the workplace, which was shared by myself and one of the IOSH vice presidents, who I'm pleased to announce is also the current president-elect of IOSH, meaning that later this year, he will become the next president of IOSH. As Angela mentioned, we have had Louise, who is the current president, share and partake at least one event at the Caribbean branch. And we continue to have a strong support and collaboration with the presidential team. So putting all events into perspective, we set ourselves at least 10 executive committee meetings. We delivered 11. We set ourselves at least 90% successful execution of events. We just landed 90%. We had one event. Interestingly, the event on financial planning in a pandemic was the only one which we had to cancel this year. All other events were well subscribed, typically with registrations well into the 70s for almost every event, which is coincidentally around half of the membership for the Caribbean branch. Budget variance, well, we did not have a budget. We did not have any expenditures because there has been a freeze due to everything being virtually. And that's no different to what has existed in many other organizations. We had 7 branch events, as I mentioned before. And of course, we've met and exceeded all of our other KPIs. It is hard work, but there is joy in volunteering. And I want to take this opportunity for those of you who are interested in doing more. The door is always open, right? We always look for persons to continue to contribute. And of course, as Angela also mentioned, if you are a chartered member, you can throw your hat into the ring to be an IOSH vice president. And there always continues to be other opportunities to serve, whether as a member of council or on the executive of the Caribbean branch. So before I go into the new executive, I also want to take the opportunity to thank a young lady who I have had the pleasure of mentoring as she has successfully progressed from a graduate member of IOSH to a chartered member of IOSH. So congratulations, Ms. Shari Bowens, on your recent accomplishment, and I do mean very recent accomplishment. And the fact of the matter that you did it in what I will say record time, I believe just about 6 months from start to finish, demonstrated that where there is a will, there is a way. I will now turn my attention to the incoming members of the Caribbean branch executive for the year 2022 and 2023. As most of you would know, nominations were opened, and I have been advised that for all of the positions which were open, there was only one nomination, and as such, no voting would have been required as per the regulations of IOSH. And the nominations and the elections is actually run under the auspices of our IOSH corporate governance team. With that being said, I am pleased to announce the executive for the year 2022 and 2023. Returning, Mr. Shazam Idu as Vice Chair, Ms. Janelle Duff as Secretary, Ms. Shazara Ali Bukas Ramlogan as Treasurer, Rishi Williams as Communications Coordinator, Charlene Ford as Committee Member, who also serves as the Barbados Country Coordinator, Ms. Sheena Briggs Edwards, who continues to show her real dedication. Last I saw her a couple moments ago, commuting from Tobago to Trinidad and participating on this AGM currently. Mr. Navin Raghu as committee member and who leads our professional development aspect. Ms. Alina Danlal, committee member. Ms. Shari Buen, committee member. Mr. Dion Lawrence, committee member. And we have two new committee members joining. Ms. Michelle Batiste, so congratulations and welcome, Michelle, as well as Ms. Diana Pulido. Congratulations, Diana. We are looking forward to working closely with both Michelle and Diana, and certainly the rest of the executive as we move forward into planning our program of work for this year into next year. So congratulations, everyone, and members of the Caribbean branch. These are your executive committee members for 2022 into 2023. So at this point in time, I want to leave the floor open for any other business. Any questions? Any feedback? We will take all of them at this point in time. Feel free to put it into the chat box and we can answer your questions, any questions or comments that you may have.
Hello for everyone. I am Nandiana Pulido, and it's a pleasure to participate in this committee. I am from Bogota, Colombia. We are near to the Guayanas and the Caribbean region. So I very respectful and excited to join with this group.
Thank you, Diana. Congratulations again. And I could be wrong, but I think you are perhaps our first member from Colombia. So we look forward to working with you and understanding how we can assist you and any other members that we may soon have there and progressing the work of health and safety practitioners there. I think I just saw a question. Due to COVID impact, what may be the first two items that will be on? So what I can say is typically after AGM, the executive committee will come together and go through a strategic planning session to identify the year plan for the new executive. Having said that, the prior outgoing executive would have identified one additional engagement that the new executives can consider, which would have been a collaboration with the IOSH agency. However, due to some local events in the last month or two, we have put that collaboration on pause, but we will seek to redouble that because we think that it is good for health and safety practitioners in Trinidad to understand what the regulator is seeing, the perspective of the regulator, and how we can work together with the regulator to move health and safety forward. So I hope that answers the question that I saw in chat. What I can also say is we have been apart for a long time. And, you know, we are actively looking at having at least one face-to-face event, I would say, within the next 3 months. We do have to abide with the guidance from IOSH, but we have the approval for a blended approach, meaning that some sessions would be virtually and some sessions would be in person. And we are looking to ensure that we can have an in-person session at the soonest time to at least be able to see everyone face to face and look at doing, I believe we had identified a tour of our organization to give, again, a slightly different perspective from just sitting and participating in a lecture. So those are some of the things that are planned in the next 3 months. I will leave the floor open for a couple minutes again on, just saw something come in. Oh, thanks, Angela. Yes, catch the wave. So of course, one of the big things that is picking up in the Caribbean is around sustainability. And of course, from the IOSH perspective, social sustainability, catch the wave. People is a big part of sustainability and the 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. A number of them really touch on safe work environments and ensuring that people can have clean water, no hunger, and so forth. So that's one of the things that we will also be reaching out to the presidential team, Angela, through Catherine, of course, and to solicit their support in doing a session around catch the wave. I will add that we've had, I think, 2 sustainability sessions this year, one on renewable energy and one earlier this month around the sunk cost fallacy. And what we are essentially saying is that while the world moves to renewables and so forth, there's a critical role for health and safety practitioners in that transition. And we really want to upskill the health and safety practitioners. Angela would have mentioned around the competency framework. I want to recommend that if you're a member and you haven't used the competency framework to at least self-assess yourself, please take the time to do so. Do it openly and honestly. And by that, you can identify areas that you perhaps would like to focus more on to improve your skills or competency in whatever area. Okay, well, I'm not seeing any additional comments or questions. So on behalf of the executive of the Caribbean branch, and I will dare say extend the presidential team of IOSH as well, I want to thank each and every one of you for participating in this evening's AGM. We look forward to continuing to work with you over these next 12 months and ensuring that we come together and really address the needs of each and every one of you. I want to also advise, because after every session, we have the feedback sheets, and the feedback do ask for your thoughts on topics and so forth that you would like us to focus on. So please use the feedback sheets to let us know, or feel free to reach out to anyone on the executive team. We're looking forward to great things. We will always have Barbados close to our heart. I'm glad to see things continuing to go well there. We're looking at Guyana and Suriname again. And of course, we have a new focus in Colombia. So it will be good to understand the health and safety picture in Colombia and incorporating the experience of members in those countries to bring everything together so that we can improve. Thank you all for your time. Stay safe and have a good night. Bye all.
Bye.
Thank you, Jason. Bye.
Bye.
Good night, all.
Blessings on everyone. Bye.
Bye, everyone.